Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Crosswires. We've had a few technical difficulties getting started tonight because we, in our infinite wisdom, decided that what we would do is try and stream this whole thing to all these different platforms. Now, our new recording host, Riverside, are fantastic. We've got the ability to do it, but it does seem like we've got a few little problems. So we are still learning.
I guess it means we're missing some Apple intelligence.
Jeez, that's terrible. All right, I'm just going to say this. We're all going to jump aboard Hairplane 1, which I know it was never actually called Hairplane 1 in the keynote, but I think Hairplane 1 is the most appropriate.
Yes, or Air Force 1, right?
Oh, Air Force 1. Air Force 1 is better, yeah. Of course, the next time we do this, we're going to have to call it Hairplane the sequel.
Now, I want to see Liam Neeson on it because Liam Neeson was on the Air Force One show or movie, and I want to see Liam Neeson be like, "I don't know, like those movies."
No, Jay, no, that isn't good. No, Liam Neeson is not going to be in an Apple WWDC. You're more likely to get I don't know, I mean, you know what? You're more likely, Jay, to get our friend Gideon Mayhew. Oh, there you go. Guest developers on the plane next year. Not just Apple's people, but
I like that.
James Thompson from Peacock. Gonna put Craig Hockenberry up there,
There's a fun little tidbit I learned from ATP about the opening. Phil Schiller was using the iPod click wheel, and Phil Schiller's why the iPod had the click wheel.
So okay, well, look, before we get into that, because we definitely want to talk about intro, let's introduce panel. Obviously, you've got the incredibly chatty, wonderful tea with milk drinking, my beautiful fiance Jay. How you doing, Jay?
I'm doing really good. I'm here with doing one of my favorite now annual traditions, and Apple event for how I got into Crosswires.
That is true. That is very true. And of course, because it is an Apple event, and Alex messaged me when we were talking the other day, he's like, "Do you know, I don't post anything about Apple anymore." But yeah, it's like Alex Lowe from the interface, where you will find very little Apple content these days, but plenty of other amazing content. Yeah, Alex, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I've recorded a podcast this morning, so it's my second one of the day. So,
have you had enough coffee and tea? You don't really do. Do you do coffee?
I do coffee. Yeah, I do coffee, but not really. I haven't drank tea for a long time. So, but yeah.
Jay's just started to get into because Jay's into Yorkshire tea decaf.
Oh,
yes, and I found out that it's the Yorkshire difference.
Anyway, so look, we are here to now. It's obviously been a couple of weeks, and this is good, just so people. This isn't me being lazy in recording or anything like that. I'm not. I admit, you might have noticed we haven't had as many episodes out. That's on me. I am trying to get better at that. Jay and I both have full-time jobs. We've also got a business we're trying to run. It's not an excuse. It's just, I think every podcaster will attest it's not always easy anyway. So we are a few weeks after the event. I think we have to start with that intro because so many wonderful tidbits there. I mean, let me just start. Do the intros to the WWDC events, do they still bring the same enjoyment as the previous year's ones?
They're definitely more fun because I remember they used to have little videos. They had ages ago. They had the animated video with all the mini icons. I don't know if you remember that one.
I do. Yeah,
like a sketchy noise in the background. But yeah, they're definitely more produced, aren't they? I do wonder how this one was filmed.
Well, wasn't it all shot on iPhone? Did we see the end credits? Was it all shot on iPhone?
It was, yes.
I think it was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, that's incredible. Gotta ask a question, though. So it starts off, for those of you who haven't seen it, and we're going to put a link to the event in the show notes. It starts off with Craig Federighi on a plane saying, it's a big day, getting everyone prepped and ready. And they're obviously all in jumpsuits. And it basically goes through where they end up parachuting out of the plane down to the event. Now, I've got to ask a question. Do you think once they left that plane, that would not have been that bunch of execs, right? I mean, I can't see how they would have let them do that.
One thing was weird. I saw people's hair move, like it was as you'd expect, the hair would be swept back as you're falling. But that would have to be added afterwards, surely.
Well, we could be one of those skydiving simulators.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
You've got that. Well, you can even get those on cruise ships now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, I don't think they would have done. No,
because I don't think Craig would want to mess up that helmet. That helmet? I want that helmet. Yeah, absolutely. Hello, Air Force One. Hey, Evan, how you doing?
And Evan says big year for AI generated hair.
A big year. Well, based on what I think we aren't going to be able to escape AI in this episode. I can assure you there is. Well, I say there's no AI generated content in this episode, but actually the audio is going to go through Riverside's Magic Audio, which will be using machine learning to improve the audio, but it's not sure it's...
I wonder, will we see Haley Joel Osment? I think of the wrong AI.
You're definitely thinking of the wrong AI, and if that's where AI is heading, I'm terrified. Anyway, so, okay, brilliant intro. I love Phil Schiller being in there. I love the whole playlist, the classic iPod, and the big thing for me was seeing that original rainbow color branding. I like that Apple are embracing that again.
Is it me, and it could just be me from thinking from my queer side, is it me, or are they really embracing the rainbow to be like, hey, we're a company run by a lot of queer individuals, and we have I can openly gay CEO, and we're just going to be cool. I mean, I have to wonder, is that part of why they're doing it?
Possibly, but also that has been part of Apple's branding for far longer than you got to remember Apple logos on devices used to have rainbows embedded into them.
Ooh. Yeah.
We're talking probably before Alex was born, even. Well, I'm thinking like the PowerBook, the old PowerBook G3s had.
Yeah.
No, before that, but no, not the G3s have a light up. But you look at like classic Macs, like
even the original Macintosh had it as well.
Yes, exactly. So it's not a new thing, but I don't think it's necessarily coincidence, Jay. Also, I think obviously Pride Month. Apple are very big on supporting Pride, and I think that's fantastic. They are an incredibly inclusive employer. So, intro aside, we then, of course, come down to our favourite CEO. Again, I think it is really interesting. I don't think, again, we are ever going back to in front of a live audience WWDCs again.
No, I don't think so.
And I know we've said this every time, but it's just more and more sort of nailed on certainty now. And I think in a way that for me, and this is my opinion, I do prefer it because it means that, I mean, you remember all the fun and games you had at events when tech wouldn't work. Like, was it the iPhone XS? No, the iPhone 10 and Face ID. Because we've been polishing it, the iPhone, Face ID didn't work because people had gone through it. And then you had moments where, Steve Jobs got angry because, I don't know if people remember it, the classic, Alex, you'll appreciate this, the Wi-Fi issue when they were trying to show, was it the iPhone?
It was the iPhone 4. They were demoing the iPhone 4 versus the iPhone 3GS in terms of loading speed.
So. Yes. And everybody had these little MiFi devices. Now, I mean, I don't see those as much anymore, Alex. I don't know about you. I don't see people using them as much.
No, I used to have one. People just tether off their phone, don't they? Or they've got iPads with 4G in. And the amount of Wi-Fi is everywhere. Like, I remember maybe 2008, 2009 that I would struggle to go out and get Wi-Fi, but now you go everywhere and they've got it. So
yeah, it's really not a problem. And Wi-Fi infrastructure has improved so much.
Oh yeah.
And if you want to know more about Wi-Fi infrastructure, particularly the ubiquity kind, do make sure come on, we gotta get where can people find UI Chat?
You can find UI Chat at theinterface.uk, and there's some podcast sections on there, or UI Chat podcast.co.uk, I think.
Nice.
So yeah,
awesome. Shall we dive into the actual event now? I think a big thing, obviously, about this event is AI. and intelligent. But Jay, you mentioned at the top of the notes, Apple TV Plus, there's some new shows coming. Actually, I don't know about either of you two, but I'm really liking the direction Apple TV Plus is heading.
We primarily use that for everything. Like when we watch stuff, we haven't used any of the services for quite a while. We just use that. There's a lot of good stuff on there. So,
and I've got a lot of friends who are like on Android, and they subscribe to Apple TV Plus through like either like Android TV or Fire TV. We've got a lot of people who are subscribing to it, and like a lot of people are coming to it. I mean, Silo was a great series. I'm excited to see more of Silo. Shrink or Shrinking, that one's really good, and someone's going through mental health issues right now. It's very much a show that makes me laugh and all that. I love it.
But I think for me, the big thing that I like about Apple TV Plus is it's a reasonable price. But more than that, they've got the family sharing model correct, because it's built into Apple's iCloud family sharing. There is no password sharing concerns, because what you do is you add people to your Apple family, and then they have their own. If you've got obviously a family, because me and Jay have is it Apple TV Apple One Premiere, which is everything.
That's what
and
we
it's
do as
all
well.
family. Okay, and it is about £37 a month now, Alex. It's
about that. Yeah,
but do you know what? I'm sorry. I actually think that so you get Apple Music, Apple TV, Apple News, Apple Arcade, Apple Fitness, 2 terabytes of shared iCloud storage, which I've got to say, we as a family, with me, Jay, and my parents, we are getting close to actually filling, so we might have to upgrade and add it, because you can bolt on more storage.
You can bolt on quite a bit now,
Yeah, was it up to 6 terabytes you can buy now? Ridiculous. So because obviously it would be on top of you too, so you could actually be up to 8 terabytes of iCloud storage if you wanted it.
Here's a quick question. How does the Apple ID situation for countries, I know they're a bit funny about that. How do those two integrate properly? Have you changed the country on your Apple ID, or does it just work?
So we had to, so Jay had to change her Apple Store.
Yeah.
But that's only for the purchases. You could have everything else worked, didn't it? Just not the subscriptions and App Store stuff and TV.
And mine was in a weird place where I had an old store account, and that one I could not get changed over. So, and it was not tied to my iCloud ID. So I've actually
one of those,
So now I have my iCloud is my store, and that means I have to redo all my purchases. I mean, it's unfortunate, but hey, it's
Just thought I'd ask. It's quite interesting. Yeah.
No, but it is a good point. Obviously, Jay and mine and Jay's situation is obviously a little bit different. I think Apple's intention is that you are all in the same country. They certainly obviously make it is very different to like Netflix password sharing.
Oh, yeah.
Or, which is good, because it also means you, Jay, or Alex, yourself, and your partner can have, you've got your own playlist, you've got your own data. There's a much better segmentation. I mean, just something I want to just genuinely ask, because I haven't really asked this. iCloud as a package, so, Apple One and iCloud, I actually think for your person who is completely baked into the Apple ecosystem, I think iCloud provides a actually pretty dang good email with good spam filtering.
Yep.
Good calendar, good contacts, all of which do support open standards, so you can use your iCloud mail on almost anything that supports IMAP. Do you know what it does? It does do something with Gmail, doesn't it? Actually complies with the IMAP standards properly. Gmail does not, and Outlook has, because I had this problem for a client, Outlook does not handle drafts very well on Gmail.
Oh, I see.
Because they're not quite complying with IMAP bit. But I think, especially with one of the things that they've announced later in the event, do you think for most people, iCloud is actually a really good option?
Yeah. I've been using it for ages and ages. All my stuff is in there, apart from video backups. Because if I'm storing footage, I don't store it on site or store it on Google Drive, mainly because I can't predict what iCloud's going to do with their files. Is it going to download them? Is it going to... So because it's many, many terabytes of stuff, I would store an iCloud because obviously I'm paying for that as well. But like, I just can't predict whether or not it's going to randomly download stuff. Yeah.
Do you mean in terms of if it's going to keep it available offline for you?
Yeah.
Well, skipping ahead a little bit because it's been announced since that in the latest OS updates, you're going to be able to choose to keep a folder available offline.
Oh, what I meant was, can you choose to keep the folder online only? Like, remove it from the PC, the Mac here.
Oh, I see. I don't think you can.
Yeah, because that's one thing Dropbox had was selective sync. And I'm still in some of my stuff's still in places I got to get off of. I'm still figuring out my own digital strategy.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because obviously we use Nextcloud for our business storage. So because we've got that connected up to a few things, but yeah, we can choose to not sync those files down.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a bit. I don't think iCloud is intended for that use case.
No.
No, it's definitely not. Actually, it's definitely not. I think they probably envisage using iCloud Photos to store those videos.
Yeah, that's true.
And especially if your photos and videos are spatial videos, they look amazing on Vision OS.
Well, let's talk then about Vision OS. Now, this is interesting, is it? Hang on. So there are 1.5 million compatible iPhone and iPad apps that run on Vision OS.
Which I think this is an important thing to note because I've been listening to some people about the Vision Pro. A lot of people have said, unless you're an enthusiast with a little bit of disposable income, there's not a lot of reason right now to buy. And I do agree. I mean, it's very much an enthusiast, very much a developer's device. And that, like, sometimes some people are like, okay, I have it. What do I do now with it? Because some of the experiences are not there yet.
That's true. I mean, Alex, I take it you've not had a chance to play with one yet because they're not available here.
They're available as of today.
Yes.
I've seen some people pre-order them today, so I'd imagine they'll come into stores pretty soon. But I saw someone put I think one of the editors of Mac Rumors put his screenshot of his order. It's like nearly $4,000. It's like, oh.
So, Jay, when you said a little bit of disposable income, you have very different definitions of disposable income, which is somewhat scary.
I mean, to be fair, if I wasn't flying over to the UK 3 times a year, I could afford that. I'm kidding.
It's actually true. You actually could, like, legitimately. If anybody wants to help me and Jay out, please do head over to crosswires.net/tips. We genuinely, like, if you want to support what we're doing and help us pay for flights and stuff, we really would appreciate it. No obligation, of course, but. So pre-orders today, today is Friday the 28th of June as we record this. So pre-orders in the UK today because it went live in, I think, China, Japan, Singapore, Australia, Canada, France, and the UK. Now, that's such a... is it just me or is that quite okay, I get China, Japan, Singapore. I get Australia. I get Canada. But... France and the UK. So why only France? Why not Germany? Why not?
Oh, do you think Germany's privacy laws or?
Yeah, and I think it's also maybe a little bit of a gotcha to the EU on what they've been doing with the DMA because Apple's not. I actually saw a potential rumor that some of these features may not come to the EU for a bit.
For Apple Intelligence, I did see that as well. We'll talk about that. But, Jay, that only holds true if they're not putting France in, because France are in the EU. So
that is true.
They're actually quite a big part of the EU, Jay. Anyway, let's talk about what's new with Vision OS 2. I mean, look, Jay's made some quite good notes. Start Alex for yourself. What do you think of the highlights of Vision OS 2? What do you think is the key thing that they're doing this time?
The feature I remember was they said you can have like an ultra-wide monitor for using it as a Mac. Like when I look at the Vision Pro, I see 2 use cases. I think TV and a Mac display because I could edit Final Cut videos with like a massive real estate. That'd be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But anything else is not that interesting. But to be honest, the full screen wide display will be pretty good. That was my highlight. So,
so different aspect ratios and up to 4K.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to do ultra wide monitors virtual monitors, which I think, as you said, is going to be brilliant. I will admit that's one use case. We're also adding a train mode for travel, which makes sense, especially in this country.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be one of the reasons they added it, because of the UK and probably European, France launch, because we have like a train infrastructure that is not. So, fun fact, and I didn't know this until recently, the North American rail network is mostly prioritized for cargo. It's for freight, because it's for freight companies who own the lines. So if there's a freight train on the same line as your passenger train, well, guess what happens? Your passenger train has to wait. Whereas, I mean, to be fair, on UK trains, if there's a leaf on the line...
I remember that our family was heading from Denver back to Ohio, and our train was delayed for about like 5 or 6 hours because of the freight trains on there.
Yeah. So, but it is good to have more travel modes. But yeah, no, on UK trains, it's just usually leaves on the line or trespassers on the line.
So I do wonder how the Vision Pro knows where it is in terms of a train or I was a bit surprised when I saw that, because I thought surely you could just activate the travel mode in whatever scenario you're in. Surely, I just thought
maybe it's a type of motion,
or maybe
because a train motion is going to be very different to a flight motion.
Yeah.
And I think they're trying to stop people from being able to use it in the car driving.
Yes.
Because that has become a little bit of a thing in the US.
Yes. Okay, so you can create spatial photos from existing 2D photos using machine learning. So this is the first mention of machine learning, I think. And I love this idea. I love the fact that they're extrapolating 3D data from 2D. I mean, I like the idea of the spatial photos. I'm with Alex to an extent. I don't think it's necessarily, for me at least, it's not something I would find useful beyond those sort of features. But what is interesting is we're obviously taking spatial photos and video seriously, because Canon are now offering a dedicated spatial lens for their cameras.
I think Blackmagic are as well.
Aren't Blackmagic doing a camera? Yeah, they're doing an actual camera, I think, aren't they? Yeah. Whereas Canon, which is awesome because Blackmagic cameras are really nice, but Canon are actually doing a lens and I'm going to assume it's going to be for a mirrorless range.
Yeah, probably.
But you'll be able to bolt on, so that's good. AirPlay receiver, but you're going to be able to use it as an AirPlay target. So you would be able to, for example, from your iPad, AirPlay a YouTube video.
That's pretty cool.
Which obviously means for apps, maybe content apps that haven't yet brought their apps to Vision Pro, but it also means you could put your iPad screen actually onto your Vision Pro.
Of course, yeah.
Because you can just, do that. But it does, I think that's kind of cool. Mouse support, yay. That's good. Especially, with the desktop mode in place, I guess.
Yep.
So Vision OS 2, I think it's fair to say none of us are planning a Vision Pro purchase at this time.
No.
Unfortunately not.
I'm tempted I would like to go to an Apple store to go and actually have a look at one.
Me too, yeah.
And I think probably, I don't know if we're going to have time, Jay, but maybe we can head to Southampton, which is our nearest Apple store.
Yes.
Do you think they're actually going to come to every store, or just some of the flagship ones?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, bear in mind, we don't have that many Apple stores in the UK, so it would be more feasible to have one or two in every store.
Well, some of them don't even have enough room for them. We've still got some micro stores here, like micro Apple stores. There's one in Birmingham, for example. So it's very small. Yeah. To
be fair, the store that I'm referring to is a fairly decent size. Okay. Yeah, Southampton's quite big. I would at least expect the 2 London stores to have them.
And Southampton is where a lot of tourists come through too, both like traveling in, but also like cruising. So it's a store that's a lot of money.
And it's a big shopping centre, but it's West Quay. It's pretty big. But we're not planning it. So, but obviously, if you are lucky enough to have an Apple Vision Pro, please do let us know let us know your thoughts on Vision OS 2. All right. We're not here to unpick every detail of the event. Go and watch the event. There's been plenty of really good coverage by other news sources. We're here to give our opinions on things that matter. So, okay, iOS 18. Now, can I just say the first thing for me, I don't know about you two, at last you can completely customize your home screens.
Yes. There are times I have the perfect wallpaper, and I'm like, the photo app behind it is being obstructed by this application. Yeah.
So, yeah. And of course, Android has been able to do this since probably almost day one.
Yeah.
Maybe. I can't remember that sort of customizing. Android users, please correct me if I'm wrong. But be able to arrange your apps and widgets wherever you want. I do like the dark mode for the home screen, the app icons. And you can tint any of your app icons. So you can tint every app icon on your custom. So you can, like, Jay would go purple, for example. I might go blue. But there has been some feedback that it's not necessarily as not well thought out, but it's not as flexible for developers as you might think. I think there are some restrictions on what the dark mode icons can be, for example. But I don't know, big deal for me.
Well, and it is definitely a big risk, the fact that, like, you're messing with developers' brand icons, like that, which is the fact that you can tint any of those is a big risk for Apple to take.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's been something that Android users have been able to do for a long time, so I don't think the brands are going to be too worried about that. I don't think they're going to start screaming.
They have brand guidelines, but that is only when it's public-facing in marketing and stuff, and on websites and on different places. But if it's on someone's phone, it doesn't really matter that much, to be honest.
We've got no control over it. No. Exactly. With that, though, with a customization comes Control Center. So, again, you're now going to be able to basically groups of controls. You've got controls galleries. So you're going to be able to choose the controls you want. And I think this is where I really like they're making a controls API for developers to be able to put things into Control Center to trigger actions within their apps. Now that seems like a really, really good idea to me.
Well, and it makes the Control Center that much more usable, and makes it where it's now something that a lot of users you have to expect probably don't need to go there because it's a little bit really janky and wonky, and it's hard to it's not useful enough. But if you can be like, hey, just like widgets, say, hey, you can put your secure system here, or you can put your stuff for your TVs or anything that you need to there. It makes it much more useful.
Well, older versions of iOS let you swipe between pages in Control Center, but they were defined pages by Apple. So it would be, you swipe between home and your music controls, things like that. This is going to be under your control. I mean, Alex, is this a sort of, are you a customizer, or are you just like, just leave it stock?
I typically do leave it as it is, to be honest. It would be nice to customize the Control Center in terms of HomeKit, because those shortcuts are a bit random, aren't they?
Yeah.
No, that would be nice. But I typically won't mess around with the design of it personally. But yeah.
Now, the next question I need to ask you both is, how long before you get iOS 18 are you going to be removing the flashlight from the lock screen?
Putting out another menu, because I use flashlight quite often.
Well, you can be in Control Center, but yeah.
True, yeah. But yeah, removing it off, I'm like, absolutely, because there are many times I will turn it on by accident. It's just like I've done it. Well, I mean, it's just like my walkie-talkie at work has a plastic button that I always end up turning on at the wrong time.
What about you, Alex? Are you again? Is it something you're even? I don't know. There are different grades of iPhone users who want customizability, but
yeah, like when I got the iPhone 15, you can customize the
the action button. Yeah.
Is that what it's called? The action button.
Mm-hmm,
I put it on Shazam, but I've never used it since I got it, so never used the button.
I've got mine set to be a camera trigger. As in, open the camera. So I actually would probably remove the camera from the home screen and add that to be something else. Like that might open. I don't know what I'll do yet. But
I might do HomeKit and then another app. Not sure though.
Yeah.
And the fun fact about this, because I was listening to ATP, that when third-party cameras make theirs part of the camera button, it will make it act like the built-in camera. so you don't have to open up the phone, open up the app. You can actually open up a locked camera that functions just like it. So, I mean, it makes third-party cameras much more useful now.
Well, not just third party, because of course we've now they just about got it in within spring. They just got it in. Final Cut cameras available,
and now imagine having lockdown devices that you can use for production. That you're like, hey, just press this button, makes it much easier to do stuff.
Well, it's really interesting. I mean, I haven't had a full chance to play Final Cut camera yet, but it looks good. I don't know if you've used it yet, Alex, because you're much more of a content creator than we are in terms of video, at least.
Yeah, I don't tend to use my phone for filming videos. I tend to use a dedicated DJI camera. But
you've got the Pocket, haven't you? Is it the Pocket? Yeah.
Yeah, but I do use the iPhone for getting quick clips. But I can see with the amount of stuff that's on it. But well, in my experience, actually, the iPhone is very, very clever at adjusting the exposure and stuff all by itself. The last thing I want to do is mess around with the settings on the phone and then have some awful looking footage. But if people know what they're doing with that stuff, then it's really nice that sort of thing's available. I think we mentioned it. I think we spoke about it last time at the iPad event.
Event, yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, Apple's big focus, obviously, is on privacy. Now, some people might question that with news coming, with stuff we're going to talk about a bit later. But I do love this. Protect sensitive apps by locking them. So any app can be locked. Notifications will be locked. You can hide an app. So a new hidden app folders, it's going to be unlocked via, Face ID or Touch ID. I think there are still, correct me if I'm wrong, is the iPhone, the most up-to-date iPhone SE still has Touch ID?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And I keep saying, of course, I'm dismissing this from an iPad OS point of view. So, yeah, it was whichever biometric solution you've got will allow you to unlock those apps.
One thing I was thinking about, and I wonder how this is going to work. Say, for instance, you buy an app, or like even a free app is considered a purchase. Will those show into your purchase history if you hide them?
No, you can hide. You can already hide apps in your purchase history. You've been able to do that for ages.
Yeah,
even if in a family plan.
Yeah, I think. Well,
okay.
I believe so. We'll have to check that out, Jay. Actually, we should test that. There you go. That's some homework for us. Let's test that. But no, yeah, I see what you're saying. You mean, but obviously we're talking about hiding from the phone itself or locking them. And this isn't, by the way, just for maybe those special apps. I mean, that's a term I'm using. But it might be. It might be that you've got some work apps on your personal phone, but don't, because some of them, the Microsoft apps, for example, depend on your organization, like Teams, do require Face ID to get into if your organization set that up. But if you don't have that, maybe you've got, say, Slack. You might want to lock Slack to prevent anyone who's getting on your phone getting into it. Or you might want to lock Signal, for example. Now, I think Signal actually does have its own thing that you can do that with. But there's lots of apps that I was going to say your banking apps, but your banking apps really should require your Face ID anyway. But I'm trying to think of other examples. Maybe.
Well, and what I'm thinking about, I mean, and again, it's because of my, like, coming from a queer background. I mean, being queer. But, like, say, for instance, somebody installs an app because they're exploring something about themselves and they want to hide it from people and hide that is to avoid any questions, stuff like that. And also, I mean, hiding psycho apps and all that, there's a lot of reasons why an individual may want to hide an app or protect an app.
Absolutely. I mean, the next thing, which I think is definitely something that it needs to happen with the likes of WhatsApp and Facebook and other tools that just scrape your contacts. You can decide which contacts you want to give apps access to, and that goes to accessories too. And a network. Oh, and so it goes. So that is for allowing apps to connect to certain accessories, and what network devices they can connect to. Alex, if I'm reading this correctly.
Yeah, when an app requires local network access, it has access to everything on that VLAN essentially, or that's whatever network you've got. I think now they are saying that you can give it access to one device only, I believe. Which is quite a nice thing. So
I wonder how they're going to sort of do that. Like, is it going to be? I mean, is it going to be more like HomeKit based? I guess, or because how are they going? So, for example, however, if you're on your main VLAN and you only want the app to access your printer, how's it going to discover your printer?
I don't know.
I wonder if the phone's going to be a mediator and say the phone will be like, "Hey, do you want to expose this printer to this application or not?"
Oh, that's it. That's interesting, isn't it? I mean, to be fair, phone you can do network discovery off a phone.
Yeah, it can do.
But I'd be curious how that's going to work. But certainly the contacts thing, because okay, so you might, for example. Again, I'm using Microsoft Teams as an example. Microsoft Teams will want to integrate into your contacts, but you won't, if it's, say your work teams, you don't want your work teams be able to sup up your personal contacts, because that means they end up in your corporate data, and you might not want that.
Because there are times that you may want to find a contact who's like using this app, and you're like, okay, I know that this person specifically uses this app. I want to let the app know, hey, they're in my contacts, but you don't want to give them all the data. For instance, Facebook, we'll just call it Meta. Meta got in trouble for using the contact data to try to invite people to Facebook.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, Signal does their contact discovery really, really, really well, so you don't necessarily have to worry there.
There's a bit more privacy as well. Well, I couldn't find any information about this network thing, but there is something else. So iOS has got private MAC addresses at the moment.
Oh, yes, yeah.
It's going to have rotating MAC addresses. So the iPhone never changes that private MAC address, I believe. So you could, in theory, be tracked from that. So now, on a basis, it will then rotate this MAC address now. So you're sort of living in the shadows.
Oh, that's kind of so. And those random MAC addresses are per Wi-Fi, per SSID, aren't they? If I remember correctly,
they are currently, yes.
Right.
Yes, yes, they are. I think so.
They are. Well, the reason I ask this is, so are they going to just rotate them so each SSID will randomly get a new MAC address?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. I hope there's a way to turn that off.
There is. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because the reason I mention that is where my parents used to have a holiday home. The site was serviced by possibly one of the worst Wi-Fi providers I've ever seen, Wi-Finity. And Wi-Finity required you to register the devices in your holiday home network by their MAC address. Now, of course, if you either have to so their advice was turn off private Wi-Fi addresses. I'm like, whoa, no. So I actually got my mum to post into a Facebook group, no. This is how you actually do it safely. But obviously, if we're going to be randomizing those, then you're going to have to...
So there's a bit of information. So yeah, that's replaced the private Wi-Fi address button. It's just going to rotate them. So it's disabled by default on new networks. So if your home network, it's not going to do that. It's now enabled by default on all portal-based or hotel-based Wi-Fi. It rotates it every 24 hours.
Oh, okay. Isn't that going to cause a problem with some of the portal sites?
Yeah, it might do.
I guess all it means is you have to re-register, but it depends...
if you've paid for it or not.
Well, that's it, right? Because if you've paid for it based on your... It depends how they do the authentication. You'd hope it's by some sort of login, not based on the MAC address. But I know, for example, some of these hotels are, well, you can pay this exorbitant amount for these number of devices. So, yeah,
we'll have to see how that happens. But
yeah, because like I've only paid for like airplane Wi-Fi once, but it does on I think some Delta flights. It goes off your MAC address.
Well, hopefully you'll never be on a flight for that long, Jay. But it will be a problem.
I know. Yeah,
24 hours on a flight might be.
There are some people. Well, I mean, I have been, because I've been on quite a few of the flights for people heading to Africa, and that's a pretty long flight because they're flying to Heathrow, then they're flying again.
Yes, but
to go to
those
Africa.
are separate flights, Jay. So your Wi-Fi would be separate. Anyway, that's really cool. Though. I like the idea of randomized address on portals and hotel Wi-Fi. But yeah, I'm glad it's to say because you don't really need it on your home network, do you? That's where you don't,
No.
And that would also be something that would mess with parental controls and all that too, and like different rules on networks. So you have to make sure.
Yes, good point. Yeah, good point. Because like Unify, for example, will use device MAC address to do traffic identification, and
I bet there's a TikTok video out there aimed at kids that says how to get around your parents' Wi-Fi. Just turn on random MAC address.
Well, for the longest time, there's been a screen time bug. I've been reading.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I forget exactly what it is, but there's a way to make it where you can get more screen time for free.
That's right. Yeah, where you can actually bypass the limits. Apple, it's. I don't want to get into a whole thing, but like there are better ways to do parental controls and stuff. It's called talking to your kids about internet safety and stuff like that.
When you're talking to your kids, they can tap back you now with any emoji or sticker.
That's good. I like that. Especially with some of the generative stuff that's coming. I am going to say I am not as scared about some of the generative AI picture stuff that Apple are doing as other people might be. I like some of that, but we'll talk about it. Right. Yeah, tap back with any emoji. Love the fact that you can schedule messages now.
Yes, which one reason I like this. Say, for instance, James is working. I have something I want to tell him, but I don't want to bug him while he's at work. I can now schedule something for I know he's out of work. Okay, you'll get.
So all of a sudden, at 5 o'clock, my phone's just going to go off with every message from David Chase sent me.
Exactly. See, I won't be looking at work. I'll be looking after.
I mean, I can see this being useful, actually. Well, I don't know, Alex. Are you much of an iMessage user? Because obviously,
heavily, yeah. Yeah, you could schedule to say happy birthday to someone at like 10:02 a.m. to make it look like you actually sent it.
Oh, what you actually remembered? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, like or like let's say for example, like 6 o'clock, dinner's ready, but it's not ready. Oh no, I sent that earlier.
You missed it. Sorry.
Actually, you could have all sorts of fun with that with your boss, couldn't you?
Yeah,
if your boss wants you to check in to say that you've arrived at work. I watch a lot of these like bad boss videos, and it's going, oh, you were late. No, I wasn't. We can now schedule it to send at exactly like 8:29 when you meant to start at 8:30. I'm at my desk. Yes. Anyway, text formatting. But I mean, that's good.
That is good.
Yeah, like.
Question on the text formatting: is this like formatting like a WYSIWYG, or does it also support Markdown?
I doubt Apple support Markdown in. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Alex, do you know?
I haven't heard anything. No. I
think it is just highlighting text and changing the format in the editor.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to turn it into a Markdown tool, Jay, somehow, unfortunately. That would be nice. Text effects. So rather than just sending the whole messages as like an effect, you'll be able to do one by one.
Which, I mean, it's kind of cool because like sometimes people like will send me like when you do happy birthday, it's kind of cool to see like the balloons go above, or like when you do congratulations, you see like the fanfare. So it's just like little fun things to add a little bit of flair.
Fair, yeah, true. Now, speaking of above, because I think we have to. I mean, I'm like, so first of all, so this is on is it the 14 and newer, Alex, I believe, have this?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think, yeah, that's right. I think so. Yeah.
So, we had emergency SOS by satellite, but now with iOS 18, you're going to do message via satellite. It's going to use a satellite capability where available to text friends and family when you're off the grid. iMessages are, of course, end-to-end encrypted, and you can also use SMS. Now, what's really interesting me here is this is building on their satellite services. At what point do we think they're going to drop and it's only $4,000 a year for your satellite connectivity?
I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest.
No, I'm being a bit sarcastic.
Yeah.
Do you think, okay, on a more serious note, do you think what will happen is it will be bundled into the iCloud Plus subscriptions, be that Apple One, be that just paying for iCloud storage? Do you think that's going to be
more likely? Yeah, because did emergency SOS via satellite really come out with iPhone 14? That felt like it was longer ago than that.
No, iPhone 14.
So it was only 2022 then.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay. So bear in mind that we think of the iPhone 15 as current, but realistically, we're getting to a point where the 16 is obviously later this year is going to be current.
Yeah.
So it is scary. I mean, I don't know about either of you two, but like, it doesn't feel this last the 2020s have gone really fast.
Easily. Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand why.
Well, I think that thing called a pandemic, we all want to forget those couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I can see Apple making this stuff free because they're really about the safety and privacy of users. And imagine, what I could see happening is maybe a quota of you can do so many messages for free.
Okay.
And then after that, iCloud Plus. But also think about the fact of how many people could be okay, you want to be able to contact your family anytime, your loved ones out there, give them an iPhone. Think about how much it could really make Apple the safety and security company. And I could see Apple just footing that bill as a value add and for the long-term customer value.
That's true, because it's not like we're allowing voice calls over emergency satellite. No. It's all small data packets. We're not talking satellite phone here. So I don't know. Apple must have struck a good deal. But yeah, that reputational thing, Jay, that's a really good point.
Well, I mean, it's one reason why I like flying Delta. It's because on Delta, I get free iMessage on my flight. So it's always nice to be able to say, "Hey, I'm over here," or it's nice to be able to keep in contact a little bit while I'm flying a Delta. So I mean, that makes me like Delta a lot.
That's some clever That's some clever traffic filtering. Yeah. So it must be, well, to be fair, the iMessage ports are known. So I'm guessing what they're doing is saying, okay, if you haven't paid, we'll keep these ports open or keep the messaging, the iCloud servers open. So
did we also mention there's RCS support now as well?
Yeah.
Yes. RCS. Yeah. RCS isn't huge over here, though.
It's not, is it?
No. But, and I keep coming back to this. So I think it's really important that they do support RCS. RCS is a step above text messaging for certain. But let's not be under any illusion. This is not a secure messaging platform. It is still not end-to-end encrypted. The only end-to-end encryption is Google's one. It's because it's proprietary Google code.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So out of the box, RCS is only client-server. It's not end-to-end.
Ooh, okay.
Why? Yeah.
Hence why they were so resistant to use it potentially. No,
I think so. No, I think because their argument is, well, iMessage is better. But of course, yes, it is really great to have that interoperability. But I still go back to, we've already got really good, secure cross-platform messaging. It's called Signal, and I guess it does mean installing another app. So I guess there is that detractor to it, but. Honestly, it's a good thing. But again, it's just not widely used here. I think, here, I might be wrong, Alex, but certainly in the UK, the most common messaging is WhatsApp.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know. I've tried to move family off WhatsApp. It just does not work.
No.
And now your mail knows WhatsApp with the
oh god, these
email.
puns these are terrible. It's just awful.
I think these are pre-written a few weeks in advance.
No, she's had these written since the keynote. She's been like, okay, how cheesy can I be?
Exactly.
In one thing. Now, look, okay, so this categorization in mail, right? I mean, we see that in Gmail. I've seen it in Outlook.
But I liked it in Gmail a lot, and I actually missed it when I moved away from Gmail.
I think it looks good, actually. It looks really good. It's going to be helpful. The only concern I have is, will it, because it's going to be on by default, right? Is it going to confuse people who might not realise? Because I've had this happen with people where they've been waiting for a receipt and it's gone into their transactions and they've not realised that that's a separate category.
Yeah, quite possibly.
I mean, look, I think it's good. I think you can't do your own categories yet. It's going to be primary, transactions, updates, and promotions. Now, the fact that promotions is going to be its own thing should help you, because we're probably not. I wouldn't call it spam, because if it's spam, it's unwanted. You might have signed up, but you might not want to see them all the time. So I do think that's really good.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, personally, I'm probably just going to have it all on all, because I'm just a bit lazy when it comes to email. I just have everything in one big block. But yeah.
No, I do. To be fair, as well. But I'm going to see how I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
I think it will work with any email service. It's not just going to be iCloud restricted, because it's on device categorization, not server side.
I wonder, will that sync through iCloud all of your things? That way, if you have multiple Macs or multiple iOS devices,
I'd imagine so.
I'd imagine so somehow, Jay. Yeah. But it will be interesting to see how that works. Yeah, we'll have to test it. I do like this new digest view where it's going to sort of give you a summary, again, using machine learning, and it can recognize senders and sort of summarize an email for you. And then, for me, the ability to archive. I don't know about either of you two, right? But managing email when I've got so many notifications, but maybe I've decided I'm going to subscribe, but I just want to get rid of all emails from, say, a certain company or a certain sender. Like all the emails that Alex has ever sent me, for example. Don't need those anymore. Right. You can now archive. I like insulting my guests. I can only do it with guests. So, I'm going to get punched in August, aren't I? Alex is going to... You can now archive and delete all messages from a sender in one click, and I think that's really helpful.
That is really good.
Yeah. So, are we bothered about Maps?
I mean, one thing that I like is that Maps is a good alternative to Google Maps, and the Apple Maps is no longer the catastrophe it was when it first came out. Do you
know that's almost 10 years? I think that's 10 years ago now.
Exactly, because I've moved to Google Maps for the last. I was a Google Maps user till about 2022. Then James really helped convince me to get off Google Maps, and I've never gone back. I still wish there was an online web view for Apple Maps, because I had a customer who needed directions, and I had to go to Google Maps because I wasn't going to give him a MapQuest.
Oh, gosh, MapQuest.
The feature I really want, it's a bit techie, but I really want a web embed for Apple Maps.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I get you. So what? So you don't have to embed Google Maps for
websites?
Yeah,
that'd be really good.
The only one I've seen is OpenStreetMaps is a really good alternative to Google Maps.
OpenStreetMaps is incredibly detailed.
Which is probably too detailed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the new features they're adding in are things to wallet, like new information for tickets. I think one of the most interesting ones, though, Apple Pay Online. Third-party browsers will be able to use Apple Pay. And did I even read Windows, or is that totally off?
So it works if you've ever tried to use a passkey on Windows, you scan a QR code. There's an Apple Pay style QR code, like a circle that will appear when you click on Apple Pay. But the main thing is not that it's so that all of your shipping information can be done easily. Because if you've ever tried to check out without Apple Pay, it's a right faff. So you just scan the QR code and then you'll be on your way. Because there's plenty of people out there that don't have a Mac, they have an iPhone. So it's going to just make things a little bit easier for them. So
that's a really good point. And of course, that shipping information then, if they've enabled order tracking, means you get that through on your iPhone. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Tap to cash. Okay. Can I just say, the fact that we do not have Apple Pay Cash in the UK yet is frustrating.
We don't even have the Apple Pay card, because when I met up with Evan a few months ago, it was he just got his Apple card out. I was like, oh no.
Of the Apple card, yeah. But it's because Jay's got an Apple card.
Yeah, but I got one. Yeah. And I will say they have one of the most user-friendly menus for how much interest do you owe. I mean, they really make it easy to manage your payments.
Yeah, to be fair, the Monzo, I don't know if you've seen it, James, the Monzo Flex card.
I've got Monzo Flex. I love Monzo Flex.
That is incredibly transparent in terms of how much interest you're going to pay. So I think they've taken a bit of inspiration from the Apple Card in terms of their openness. But yeah, it's a shame that we don't have any of the finance stuff from Apple here.
No, because I went to my barbers, as many of you might be able to tell. Unfortunately, they took far too. No, that's just my hairline receding. And so he had an Android phone, and I just literally tapped the back of his phone with my Apple Watch to pay. Now, Apple have tap to pay in the US, and I think it's coming to Germany. It's not in the UK yet, but for me, I think
it is.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because I've got a Monzo business account, and it gave me the option to enable it, and I did, and I tested it, and it worked.
Oh,
yeah.
But is that Apple's solution, or is that?
That's a third-party solution, but using Apple's tech.
API.
Yes,
okay.
Just like because my laundry facilities, use NFC. For me, I just tap the NFC, and the app sees that, so it's the app reading the NFC.
Yeah, that came here last year, July, and NatWest have it, Monzo, Stripe, other Zettel as well. So
okay, I did not know that hit here. Okay, I'm gonna have to set up, because I do have a Stripe account. So there you go. That would be actually really helpful when I'm taking payments from clients. Actually, Monzo Business actually is very tempting.
It's free as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to get registered self-employed then.
So
anyway,
there's a few things in Journal. I'm just gonna real quick go through that. Like, it's vetting state of mind, new journal insights, and a new look. I find Journal really easy because you can do things like voice notes in it. You can do different notes. It's nice having an encrypted journal for like tracking mental health, or just tracking different, like, how you're doing. So I think that's a good thing, and it's on device. Yeah, it's just included as part of the iOS. Another one that Apple is really trying to bring forward, gaming, because again, as ATP said, Valve is really good at this. You don't need to do anything with your game. You can bring it to Steam Deck and Linux and all that. We'll provide the stuff behind the scenes, and we'll work with you if there's issues with your game. Whereas Apple's like, no, you've got to change it to us. And I think that's one of the biggest issues I think Apple has.
But the game porting toolkit is going to make that easier. I just think could go on.
It's very much requiring developers to do the work. Whereas like Proton and Vulkan, actually, those take what's there and make it work. They do the legwork.
Yes. And I think that's definitely, obviously, that is possible on the Steam Deck. But the trouble you have, obviously, on iOS is that it has to go through the App Store. So it has to be recompiled anyway. You're not going to get that sort of stuff happening. But it is cool that they're optimizing the iPhone for gaming. It's cool to see this. I think let's quickly talk though, about photos. Because this, I think a lot of people are not happy about the new Photos app. I haven't obviously played with it yet, but I mean, what do we think?
From what I remember, it looked quite good.
Yeah.
It looked good. I think people are not liking the sort of okay, you're now controlling what I see more than just a simple photo grid. But I do like the styling.
Well, and like, I like that it's doing things like decluttering your photos. Like I do screenshots of different things all the time. And I like that it will like now categorize screenshots over here for all this stuff. You have your photos that you want to see. Because that way, for a lot of people who do screenshots, you can have it there. I like the carousel. That the smart memories are much smarter than the ones that, because it's nice to be able to like look back at old things, and that it can include groups of people as well. I think it's, to me, I'm excited. I want to play around with it and see what I think of it.
Yeah, I want to try it. I do look. Obviously, I use my iPhone for all my photos, so.
Yeah, I think it looks fine. I think people's concern is that you haven't got that. That's always been a concern that people think, where's all my photos or all photos or whatever. That's still there, I believe.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think it is.
You just swipe up and you get more details. So I don't see it. There's definitely an all photos button here I can see on this video I'm watching. So yeah, but it'll remove things for you like receipts and screenshots and stuff. So
Well, that's helpful. I like that you can now do including groups of people. So, for example, when we meet up in August, we'll take photos, and it will be, here's all the photos of you, me, Jay, and Alex, and Alex's partner, or all the photos of me, my nephew, and my mum, or all the photos of me, my dad, and my nana. And I like that because photos are, I think for me, as someone who grew up with the concept of photo albums, not digital photos. I grew up with, a film camera. My first camera was actually a hand-me-down from my granddad. But I remember having a Canon little point and shoot, and I took lots of photos and then obviously had them developed. Some of them turned out rubbish because I'd used wrong. I wasn't great at understanding settings. But you put them into a photo album. I still have photo albums here. But the Photos app is replicating more and more of that memories, photos being memories and being precious memories.
Well, and again, I like the shared library. Whenever you and I meet up, it automatically syncs our shared photos together. So it's nice having a shared library. And I think that's where it's taking away some of it's adding some smarts behind the scenes on a lot of stuff.
One thing I'm going to say, shared library. I would like to be able to have multiple shared libraries because actually I'd like to be able to have a shared library with Jay and then one with my parents, but they haven't got that yet. It's a shame. That would be really cool.
Yeah, good feature though. We use it.
Oh yeah,
so.
Oh yeah. And does it work? Because it works really well for us. You obviously you're more together more of the time.
Yeah.
Do you find it does work really well for your use case?
Yeah. Is it supposed to add pictures of the two people by itself? Is it? If you don't is it meant to be automatic or?
Yeah. So the idea is if you've got it set up right, if you're in the same location and your partner takes a photo, it should add it to you. It should be in the shared library. It should detect when you're together and put it into shared libraries.
Perhaps it has been. I don't really know. It seems to work right though.
And I want to say that one other small thing that I don't think people might not know about. If you use a HomeKit video doorbell, for instance, it will actually track. Even my HomeKit camera that I have tracks my faces. So it's really cool that it'll pull up. It'll say, "Hey, this person. I think this might be this."
Yeah.
And
is it doing it for you? Matt's doing it for your photo library, is it? That's
absolutely,
cool.
Yeah, because it uses that, and that way it is a library that is not against a global database, but it's my own personal
on
photo
device
library.
On device, that makes sense.
Well,
that's
on account because it's based off my iCloud account.
Yep.
Okay, fair. But yes, it would be because you thought. Yeah, okay, fair point. Reminders integration in the calendar app. About time.
Yes.
So you can actually see your reminders alongside your calendar appointments.
That's a good idea. I didn't even know that was a feature today for this iOS 18, so that's good.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. All right. Now, can I ask, Jay technically does have AirPods. What Jay does not have at the moment is a way to charge those AirPods.
Did it somehow go missing?
You lost your AirPods case, didn't you?
Yeah. It fell in my pocket at work, and somebody took that and were like, "Oh yeah, AirPods case," and I never saw it again.
And obviously, no way to try. However, that's not for much longer. For me, I got Jay a secondhand AirPods Pro case with no AirPods in it from CEX. So Jay will have.
When I get a call from you and I'm wearing my AirPods, and it says, "Hey, do you want to enter James?" I can now nod my head because AirPods Pro now has nodding head feature, which is really cool because there are times you just don't want to be like, "Answer."
Well, yeah, I like that you'll be able to do this nod and shake, like, do you want to reply? But you're not going to look weird just like talking to yourself on the.
I talk to myself all the time, so it's like not going to.
I know.
It could also be an accessibility thing, do you think, as well? Because there are some people that obviously, I don't know what you call it, but some people can't talk, can they? So,
mutism, yeah.
Yeah, so you can now do. They seem to. I think that's more of an accessibility thing, possibly.
Oh. Well,
I know they mentioned in the keynote. I know they mentioned in the keynote it's more of a social thing that you might not want to talk out loud, but I think it's probably half and half.
It's good. Well, a lot of Apple's features stem from accessibility. There's a lot of features that started off as accessibility features,
right? Okay.
But have become. The really good example of that is a mouse and keyboard support on iPad OS. Started off as only an accessibility feature.
Oh, right.
And then became mouse support rather
proper feature, yeah,
and became a proper feature. So it's not unheard of. But yeah, that's a really good point, actually, Alex. Also, if you're in a hostage situation,
yeah,
no, maybe not.
No.
Obviously, we hope you're not. Voice isolation.
If you're in a hostage situation, you can. Oh, sorry. Yeah, voice isolation now coming to AirPods Pro, which I did not realize it wasn't in the AirPods Pro.
No, I didn't. I didn't realize it at all, which means it was only in the phone before, right? So that'll be helpful for us. I use my AirPods Pro a lot.
I'm wondering if some of this technology is used in the next feature in tvOS. Because I want to bring this up because some of these features, and there's only a few features in in tvOS.
Okay, let's talk about some, because there's lots of stuff in tvOS. Go and check it out. But Jay, what do we want to highlight from tvOS?
Especially the enhanced dialogue. Because you can do enhanced dialogue to speakers, receivers, and AirPods. It uses machine learning for improved vocal clarity, and subtitles appear like when you mute or skip back. But they're really working on because a lot of media is not mixed well. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of media that's just not. And like I do the reduce loud noises, but sometimes I'm like, I can't hear that. I mean, and my hearing is starting to go, and it's nice that they're going to be adding in enhance. And the one thing that they were theorizing on ATP is it using voice isolation? Because voice isolation is a little too aggressive for media, or will it make it feel too forced, or will it make it feel natural?
I think it's going to be very different to voice isolation. We'll have to wait and see, but that will be a genuine interest. I mean, what was it, Alex? What was that BBC show? It was like one set in Cornwall with smugglers, where the audio was so badly mixed that you just could not hear.
I haven't seen that. No, was it really badly made?
Really badly made audio-wise. Ooh. And yeah. So if it can solve... But I think for me, at least, it is... I like the idea of when you mute to take a call, it'll turn on subtitles. Because Channels, which is a TV receiver, so if you've got something like a HD home run, Channels... will work with multiple TV tunes, and you can get live TV onto your Apple TV. Once, if you mute that, that puts on the subtitles from a TV broadcast. Oh, okay. So that's kind of cool. I highly recommend Channels, by the way, if you've got a HD home run or something similar. Really great thing, really great app. I mean, there's not much else really. I mean, there's some cool stuff in tvOS, but I think that's it. That's of real note.
Well, one of the ones that I like about HomeKit, HomeKit's getting things like guest access. They also have the ability to unlock smart locks with, like by presence. That requires new smart locks because it needs a band. But again, they're making HomeKit more interesting.
Just to go back to HomeKit guest access, because I'm not sure I fully understood this. So at the moment, you can add someone to your HomeKit home, but that is a almost permanent thing. You have to remove them. Are we saying that what's coming is that they're going to be able to be giving guest access, and you can define what accessories they have access to as a guest?
I believe that's what I understand.
Yes. So guest access says create a schedule for your guest and select which accessories they can use. Guests can only access these select accessories. Yeah. So they can only get to them while they're at your home, so it's not remote access. And the example they've got here is front door, garage, and security system, and you can say always allowed or different times and stuff. So it's called customized access more than guest access. Yeah, but
I mean because you've had that with other platforms. So for example, let's say you've got a dog walker. You might want to say, okay, well, you've booked them for between these times. Let them into the garage where the dogs are. Or you have, a cleaner, or you've got, family coming to stay, and you don't want the family. So, for a perfect example for me, right? If my parents don't stay with me anymore because I really don't have a room, but when they used to do, I might have wanted to give them access to only the lights in their room or the lounge, and not my studio gear. Or certainly for me, not be able to turn off because I've got my Pi hole hooked up through Home Bridge, so that I can turn ad blocking on and off through HomeKit. well, I don't want to give that access to random people.
There's some other stuff for HomeKit though. Yes, Jay mentioned Express Mode, which is pretty cool. But also, there's support for adding electricity usage from certain providers into HomeKit. So Jay will have access to this if you're with a certain provider. So Pacific Gas and Electric Company. That second one just sounds very generic, doesn't it? Just electric company. But yeah, it looks like it will pull data in from whatever the equivalent is of a smart hub, or what do you call it? A smart meter?
Smart meter.
They've got actual daily averages of usage, how much your electricity is going to cost off peak, on peak, so you can tailor your usage. And they'll also tell you some things you can do to save energy.
Oh, because if you've got devices on HomeKit, it's going to help you, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, and it says users can now see their home electricity usage, and it says more providers are coming in the future, but that usage integration is coming later in 2024, so I imagine probably not with the release. But the last feature is also support for robot vacuum cleaners.
Oh, what? Really? That was not mentioned explicitly, was it? That was, I take this is in the notes afterwards.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So it says HomeKit will now support the core functionality of robot vacuums. So you can turn them on, you can enable different cleaning modes, you can tell it to mop and vacuum, and you can even view how fully charged the thing is as well. So,
do you think this is coming off the back of Matter being more supported? Do you think it was like
Matter does have the version of Matter which is out now does have support for robot vacs? So yeah,
right. So it's making sense that we're trying to bring this in. Now, one thing just on that energy thing, can I just say I'm really excited that if this comes to UK, because actually I'm with Octopus.
I was going to say if there's one company in the UK that's actually going to bother to support it, it will be Octopus.
So I want to quickly, because I've got really cool. So I'm trying to figure out how to tie it into Homebridge so it can tie into HomeKit. I just got the Octopus Home Mini. It's a little tiny box, connects to Wi-Fi, connects to you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I am on the Agile Octopus tariff.
Yep.
Yes, honestly, Thursday morning. If my boss is listening to this, you didn't hear this. Thursday morning, I looked at the OctoWatch app, which Octopus Watch tells me the energy costs, and all of a sudden I'm like, hang on a second, it's currently 1 pence a kilowatt hour. Right, literally run, grab my laundry, shove it in the washing machine, and turn it on, because I'm taking advantage of this.
If you had it at I haven't got Octopus, but I follow a lot of people on Twitter that use it and stuff. If you had it where it goes into minus figures,
happened today.
Yeah,
literally happened today. So
it's
actually,
ridiculous,
that means
isn't it?
I'm getting paid to use energy. I think I actually did have it once, Alex, at minus 5 pence a kilowatt hour. You better believe I turned everything on at that point. I don't think that's what you're meant to do.
No.
But I do save, I try to avoid doing things inside of those peak hours. So look, if it helps, it's a great thing for the environment. But yeah, I really hope Octopus get on board with this and work with live data. Anyway.
I'm sure they will. Yeah. So yeah, some cool HomeKit stuff. Oh, there's one more thing actually. Yeah. You can now specify your preferred home hub.
Ah, yes.
Oh, yes.
I'd imagine if you had an Apple TV with Ethernet, you could have that as your preferred home hub and avoid any issues potentially with other stuff. So
that's a good point, because the HomePods can act as home hubs, but they are obviously Wi-Fi. So if you've got one of the new Apple TVs that has preferred radio, which is the newer ones, and if you've got the Ethernet version, you'd probably want that as your preferred hub.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Because we all know Ethernet's always the better option.
Yeah. So some cool HomeKit stuff. Definitely.
And it helps you watch your home the same way that your watch will now help you watch your life.
That's going to be a clip. Just that double face palm there from me and Alex at the same time.
There's a lot of things coming in the new Apple Watch that we're not going to go through, but some of the biggest things you can do, I customize your summary tab on activity. One of the biggest ones that I like is adjust goals per day or add rest days. And you can use your award streak, which I think that is brilliant, because think about there'll be somebody who's gotten the awards every single day since the Apple Watch came out. They're like, finally, I can rest on this day.
I used to get depressed about that. I'm like, no, I need days of rest. I can't walk.
Exactly.
When I hurt my ankle, if you've injured yourself, or maybe you, for example, I don't know, contract this virus called COVID, you can't exactly go and exercise as much. It's probably not a good idea. So that's good.
I remember reading a review of the original Apple Watch when it came out, and that was somebody's biggest complaint when on one of these tech blogs. He was like, "Oh, you can't actually pause the ring gold stuff. And I was obsessed with it when the Apple Watch first came out, which is quite. I'm not really bothered anymore, but you can pause it now. So
Vitals app is good.
Yes, to be able to and notified of your vitals when you need to change or check in. So I mean, it's good that they're adding that stuff because like mine will sometimes say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Like it'll check in with me like state of mind, which would be. But it's cool. One of the ones I like a lot though is that your smart stack will automatically add new widgets when you need it, and you can have you can use the translate app on your wrist. And I bring this up because in the last month have had 2 customers who did not speak English, and I was able to use translate on my phone to help them, and like their face lit up like because that I could work with them in their language. So that was cool. We'll be getting live activities. So check-in is now on Apple Watch, and developers can now add live activities as well.
That's because I will say live activities. So Deliveroo in the UK support live activities for older stages. It's so good. It's actually really good. And I think I have live activities for Jay's flights, which are I like live activities.
Yeah, there's one for Octopus Energy, so Octopus Electroverse. When you tap your card with the Octopus card to charge your car, you'll get a live activity on your phone to tell you that how many kilowatts you're doing and stuff. And then also Ringo as well.
The parking. Yes, you're right. Yes, I actually had to use that because I actually had to use Ringo because I was out with my parents and my uncle and auntie who are all either in their 60s, I think all in their 60s, I think. And the parking machine wasn't working. Well, none of them could get it working. So I ended up adding my uncle's car into my Ringo account, which I don't drive. So the only 2 cars in my Ringo account are my dad's and my uncle's. And I was like, we were joking. I said, this is really cool. I can see how much parking. So every now and then my uncle go, how much parking we got left? I'm like, well, we've got,
It's good, isn't it? Yeah.
It's really good. And you can, that's brilliant. So live activities are great. I mean, we're all Apple Watch wearers. I still genuinely think I don't see for combined fitness and day-to-day use. I just do not see a platform better than WatchOS at this point.
No, I like how accurate all the stuff is on it. One thing we missed was sleep tracking is now automatic. So when sleep tracking first came out, I used it for a bit and got really fed up because I'd have to set a dedicated time to get to bed, and that's just not how I roll. So you
freelancers, you non 9-to-5 lot, honestly.
So I just gave up using it. So the fact now that I can just go to sleep and it'll track it all by itself, that's awesome. So
that's actually that's good.
Yeah. And that'll do napping as well, if that's something people do.
Yeah.
I do. After honestly, some days after work when I've dealt with enough of a certain item or enough of a certain customer, nice
one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I guess let's move on to iPadOS because I'm very much aware of how of time.
So there are new ways to customize your home screen, Control Center, and your Photos app.
Let's skip past anything that's already in iOS 18.
Well, no, the reason why that's important is they brought continuity because sometimes you don't get the features from iPhone.
Good point.
So that's why I'm bringing that up.
Actually, Jay, that is a very, very good point. Yeah.
So one of the things we're adding is a floating tab bar, so you can navigate to different parts of the app. So it morphs into sidebar. You can customize the tab bar. So kind of a nice way to get an extra menu when you're doing things. One of the things that's interesting is SharePlay. So you can now do tap so now you can tap on an area or draw on the screen to point to what people should do. They had like a picture of an arrow.
That's share screen, isn't it? That's not share
screen.
Play.
Yeah.
I know what you. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you can now get permissions to remotely control an iPhone or iPad, which is great for either if you do remote tech support for family or clients. I mean, it's really good there. One of the interesting ones I really want to talk about is the calculator is now an iPad. This is not just calculator big on the iPad. this has a new feature called Math Notes. So this is really cool. It can do scratch math, and the results change live. You can save and come back to them later. You can have multiple pages. You can even draw annotations. You'll also be able to draw or highlight an area and ask something we'll talk about later to draw an image there. But you can now like draw them in, next to it, and you can use it in tables. Can draw on screen as well to like animate or draw. And there's some very advanced capabilities. This is really cool, being able to modify what you're doing and like be able to do live math. Because I did a lot of scratch math on an iPad years ago, but it'd be cool to be able to like check your work this way.
Well, this is really interesting because I love the idea that you're able to like put together like a price list, like this, and you can sum it. So you're able to, just like you could in Excel, you're able to automatically sum it. I really like this concept because I remember apps that used to do this. There were apps that did this on my iPhone, but I love that we're doing this with not just bringing a calculator. Now, I'm going to say this straight up. This does not Sherlock pCalc. pCalc has a lot more functionality for its regular calculator than this does.
Yeah.
And if you like really, really powerful RPN, reverse Polish notation calculators with a lot of extra conversions that this new calculator does not have, because it does have conversions at last, then check out pCalc, because it's wonderful.
Why did some people predict that this was going to be the end of that app?
Oh, well, I want to talk about, but there's another. I'm going to come to the whole Sherlocking thing, because it's very much a thing that's been said about another app. But yeah, people are saying, "Oh, this Sherlock's pCalc." No, it absolutely doesn't. Because people have their preferences for different apps anyway.
Yeah.
And again, I think this just provides an option. Now, Notes has Math Notes. But another thing that it has, and I like this.
I love this.
It has Smart Script, so it can rewrite your handwriting as it goes to make it more legible. You can paste text and have it imitate your writing and spell check. And you can format, spell check, erase, and move things around. And you can have collapsible sections in notes. So I might actually get into more writing, because then my notes, I might be able to read my notes after I write them.
Well, here's a question, and this is a joke mainly. Well, actually, I think this applies in the US. Is it going to be able to read doctors' handwriting? Because like no one can read doctors' handwriting.
Now, I think my doctors prescribed me to go on a trip to a
oh God,
to see some trees.
Jay, just can we have one where we just don't go just.
You had it for the iPad, so
you don't.
You already have it for the iPad. So
fine.
Your quota is there, but the new macOS is called Sequoia.
So their crack marketing team did a great job. I still love that. That's a joke.
10 years on as well.
Yeah, 10 years on the crack marketing team.
And I will say, Sequoia looks great. I mean, it has things like Math Notes. One of the biggest killer features, though, has to be that, when you're somewhere and you want to access your iPhone, but it's all the way over there, or it's on your desk and you don't want to get up. Because even right now, I could look at my phone and I don't want to be like on a call. Well, with this new feature, I could actually be mirroring my phone and you wouldn't even know it. So yeah, now.
Yeah, this is cool. This is iPhone mirroring. So you're going to be able to control what's on and see what's on your iPhone. You can fully interact with it. It's over a wireless link. Use it from just anything you want to do on your phone. iPhone audio comes through to the Mac. The iPhone stays locked and works in standby mode. So you don't have to worry that if you've left your phone off on the kitchen table and you start using it on the Mac, that all your family will be able to see who you're messaging, because it will stay locked. You can drag and drop video from Mac to iPhone to upload. So you can, I think this will apply to any files. But for example, you'd actually be able to use this. For example, if you've crafted a beautiful video in Final Cut, you just drag it into the app, in this case, for example, being TikTok, and you can actually upload to TikTok without having to use it. Well, you still use a TikTok app, but you can kind of do like desktop uploading on TikTok through this.
And also, iPhone notifications come to the Mac as well, so that way you don't have to be like, "Oh, did I miss a notification?" You can now see them on your Mac. So again, it just makes it where the synergy of iPhone and Mac, and there is a caveat: you cannot do this through Vision OS. So Vision OS, when you're on the Mac, it cannot talk to your iPhone. And I think what I was reading is because of the capability of how it's accessing the Mac that it's already using there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can now automatically tile windows seamlessly and magically, as they said.
Well, I mean, so Windows has had this for ages, right? You've had to use add-ons. Mac OS has had kind of, you can do, like, you can put Windows side by side. But the fact that this will now allow you to drag it, and there are apps that did this. I'll be curious to see how good Apple's solution is compared with Windows. But this is great because you can then have a lot of customizability about your layout. This is really good.
You can now do presenter preview to kind of see what you're going to share, so you don't accidentally overshare too much. You don't, for instance, show a collection of photos or anything. And one feature that's coming back from iChat is replace background.
Oh yeah,
I remember iChat had this and it was so much fun, but you can now replace your background. So they're adding more to what they did last year with like all the presenter stuff.
Well, this is okay. So this is interesting. Just one thing to note on this: a lot of these chat apps do have like background removal, but I can almost guarantee you that the built-in native version is going to be better.
Yes, and one thing that you definitely would want to not show in the presentation for when you're screen sharing is the new Passwords app.
Okay, so we need to talk about this because this is where I was starting to get frustrated. Because after this got announced, every single person who's got any gripe with 1Password, which now me and Jay are big 1Password fans, saying, "Oh, this is Sherlock 1Password. 1Password can go to hell," because people have gotten very angry that the makers of 1Password chose to make parts of the desktop experience based on Electron. Well, there's valid reasons for that. Electron is not necessarily evil if it's done right, but also because of a subscription model and the fact that AgileBits store your data on their cloud. No one can say the fact it's fully encrypted. Now, this app does not mean that the likes of 1Password, Bitwarden, Dashlane are going away. I mean, I hope it does kill off LastPass. That's my only hope. Please kill off LastPass because it's awful. But now, Alex, you're the perfect person to ask this question because you have used 1Password because we gave you access for a project, but you don't. It's not for you. You are an iCloud keychain person, right?
Yeah, I think this app replaces on macOS. It's this really old app called Keychain
Access.
Yeah, I think it replaces that potentially.
Oh,
because they've moved the Wi-Fi passwords to this new app as well, which is interesting. So yeah, it's good because that app is horrible. But also, currently you have to go to Safari, then settings, then passwords to get access to your passwords. This is a nice way of viewing everything, and it works on Mac, iPhone, iPad, and Windows as well as Vision Pro. But so iCloud's got like shared groups with family members. You can put Wi-Fi passwords in here. You can do passkeys. You can do notes, which is super useful for websites that don't conform to standards, like bank apps that want memorable words and stuff. So, it's great. And this is meant for people like a certain type of person. I'm just one of those people that have a simple need for passwords, but there is 1Password and other apps available, obviously, and people pay for it for a reason. So, but like at work, we use it as well. So.
Well, this is kind of a point I was going to make. Is I think this is brilliant. The fact it also obviously this will because iCloud, so it's building upon iCloud Keychain. And a huge shout out, by the way. I don't think we'll be watching, but Ricky Mondello, I follow them on Mastodon.
I follow him on Twitter as well. So
yeah. They because I think they're using they them pronouns now.
Sorry,
no. I might be wrong. I think they're quite flexible. I just seem to remember them using they them. they are part of the passwords team at Apple, and they are really transparent about stuff. Because I asked a question because it was driving me. Because one of the things you can do with iCloud Keychain is the TOTP, the two-factor codes, does it really well.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, but I was saying to does that API support third-party password managers? And they're like, no, not yet. And it's frustrating. We want it to. But this does not mean... So one of the reasons we use 1Password, or I do at least, is much more control over shared groups, fully cross-platform, so it will work in... So I've got it in Vivaldi, I've got it on my Steam Deck, Jay's got it on a Linux ThinkPad, multiple browser support, but also things like credit cards. Now, I know I think, a credit card saved in iCloud Keychain.
No, they're just in autofill.
Just in autofill in Safari. Yeah. So it's obviously Apple want you to use Apple Pay, so that's probably why they're not doing it. But 1Password. So, for example, with Monzo, I've got a virtual card because I pay for. I think I pay for. I can't remember. There's there's a few steps of a premium.
They've changed all the plans now.
Yeah. So I'm on the first one, but I think it's £3 a month.
Yeah.
But that gives me virtual cards.
It does.
So I've set up a virtual card for our Crosswise bills. That is in mine and Jay's shared vault with a note, please check with James before you use it. Just to make sure.
Oops.
But more than... Yeah. Is that your Vision Pro on that card I see there? But on a serious note...
I just ordered one.
Good luck with that. There's definitely not enough money in the account for that. The point I was going to make, though, obviously we have a couple of servers where I need SSH access. Well, 1Password can manage my SSH keys for me. So, but for the average user, as Alex said, you're not going to need that. So this is great. And if you are in a Windows and Apple ecosystem, so if you're using Windows and then using Apple mobile devices, this is perfect. And actually, this will probably change the decision I was going to make for a client to get them onboarded to 1Password. I think actually, once this hits, I think they are actually going to be a perfect candidate for this now. Because before, I don't think iCloud Keychain was quite as flexible. But and it's going to work with Chrome as well, which is cool.
And the problem with the original iCloud Keychain was it was hidden behind settings. It was hard to get into. This will be an app that is on the main screen. So, I mean, I think it was an intelligent move by Apple, and you have to wonder if they are using their new Apple intelligence.
All right. What can I suggest? Is there anything else that we've missed on Mac OS that anyone's actually? Is there anything on the new Safari stuff that actually? I'll say the new Safari stuff, like finding things on a certain page, like highlights. The new read view with table of contents and a summary looks really good. Oh, and the video viewer makes a video pop out and POP when you go out. I like that.
And there was a feature that they had in development, but you can probably understand why they had to drop it. You could actually hide sections of a page, and you could, in those, remember as you left, you can probably understand why that feature probably did not make it to release.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, just, I'm going to say, if you want really great ad blocking, this is not sponsored. Honestly, Pi-hole. You can run it on a Raspberry Pi. You can run it on you can run it on a Docker. You can run it in the cloud. Just do it because it's network. Alex will know what I'm talking about. It's DNS-based ad blocking, I mean, I think Ubiquity, Unify have something similar in, but it's very basic and not.
It is quite basic. I haven't even bothered using it. But yeah.
But then you've got the big guns like PF Blocker NG on the PFSense platform. So there are better ways to ad block than using crummy browser extensions. Anyway, so for a Doctor Who reference, this is Apple's great intelligence. I mean, look, okay, hang on. I've just realised something, and it's only now dawned on me. Apple Intelligence, AI.
Oh.
Yeah. It's only just dawned on me. That's really bad. Let's just start quickly, because I think we all use AI in different ways. Alex, for you, what what is your biggest concern about AI? But is, on the web today, like ChatGPT, what's the overarching concern that maybe you have, or you think, or no people have?
Privacy. That's the biggest thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Right. So I think Apple are trying to solve that problem. So it's,
and I don't know if you saw it. Well, you guys wouldn't have seen it, but on the day of the event, when I was watching it on the TV, I watched it afterwards. I watched it late. There was so much rubbish on Twitter about, even Elon was.
Well, hang on. Didn't he threaten to remove all Apple devices?
Yeah,
from his companies.
He got community noted within like 15 minutes or something, because he was like claiming that they were embedding OpenAI at an OS level, which they're not doing.
No,
it's very optional. So I still maintain, I know you two do as well, that there is no other company out there that is looking after people's privacy as much as Apple do. And the amount of people that are a bit skeptical about that is a bit weird. But anyway, yeah.
I would say the only company that comes close is DuckDuckGo. I'm being very serious on that.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes, fair. But I mean, it was a scale, isn't it? DuckDuckGo down here, Apple up there in terms of. But Alex is right. I think the very mention of AI sends people into a frenzy of privacy panic, because I think, is it fair to say the big headline here is that A, this is optional, and B, the integration with ChatGPT is anonymized and requires your consent every time it wants to be used, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because Apple Intelligence itself is being baked in. It's already been baked into some of what we see, but this is just the further expansion of it. That part's going to be part of the operating system at a deep level. But whenever it has to go outside of its own models that it has, it says, hey, I think you might get better information here. Do you want to? And it says you don't have to. And when anything comes back from these ChatGPT, and they're talking with Gemini and Copilot and Amazon, they're talking with all of the different like vendors for integration. They very clearly mark this information came from here, because one thing Apple's not doing is not doing information, and they're not doing facts.
No, that is true. It's very much personal knowledge, isn't it? It's about you and your data, and that's a big thing that highlighted me, is as much as possible on device learning, and then when it does need to go off to higher resources, correct me if I'm wrong, folks, the machines that the servers are using are all custom designed Apple Silicon based servers.
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of cool.
It is, the fact they don't have to buy anything else from anyone else. Yeah.
Well, but also from an environment, there is a huge environmental factor here as well, because we know, all three of us know how little power M series chips use, right?
Yeah.
That scales into servers as well. In fact, our two servers now are ARM based. Our WordPress site on our Nextcloud site are ARM-based servers with Hetzner. So we know that we're using far less power. But the fact that Apple can control it means it's all secure. The data's been processed through neural engines. There's so much technical detail, and I don't know if we are the right people to dig into it, but I feel confident about Apple's ability to build a secure cloud.
Yeah, they wouldn't have done it if it wasn't going to be, would they?
Generative AI and machine learning AI and things that help you do jobs, they are not by themselves a bad thing. Where you have a problem is where that data is then getting used for training and is not secure, and you don't have control over it. And and a big thing, of course, is then, well, where's the data coming from for the generative stuff? And a lot of generative tools do not give two hoots about whose data, whose content they're using. And I mean, look, there's been a big thing, hasn't there, with a lot of sites like Mac Stories, Federico going on the warpath almost, saying, I'm not letting Apple Intelligence scrape my site, not letting any. There's a lot of stuff about how you can protect your content.
So the one thing that has come out, Apple used publicly facing data on the web for its models. And that is one of the things like just like a lot of AIs has used the public web for the data without telling people.
But it's the public web. I mean, and when we say from a data, what are we talking about from a data? What data do we mean?
I think maybe like facts about things, like holidays and things like that. At least they're not like a certain company out there who's fake user agents, stuff like that. And some of the large language models have, for instance, use copyrighted books because there's like quite a few large data sets that have been used that were illegally gotten from like books and things that they had no right to do it. So Apple's licensed information, Apple's also done the public web. So they've at least tried to keep it there. But a lot of the data for Apple Intelligence is your own personal context on your device that it does not train it doesn't train for other people. It only trains for your
own personal model, right? Okay,
exactly.
So look, let's rather than getting into the nitty gritty, let's talk about some of the things it can do for you, because I think that's where. Well, let's separate out the privacy concerns from actually what can this be a benefit to. So capability, so language wise, okay. So I mean, one of the biggest things that we in computing has always been understanding natural language. So I mean, I don't know, Alex. I'm sure you've had the case where Siri just does not understand a query that you've asked it. Gets it completely wrong.
Yeah. Hopefully this will improve Siri's ability to understand people a bit better. So,
well, from what I understand, it understands context. So, for instance, if you're like, hey, set a timer for 6, it'll set up a timer for 6. Some of the examples I've seen are like, okay, I want to find a baseball stadium near me. Okay, look at this game. Can you set a reminder for this? It pulls up that you want to go to that stadium, to that game at that time, and it can create a calendar on it without having you to say, hey, can you create a calendar here? Like right now, you have to really go back and say, hey, can you do a specific thing? And a lot of us don't think like that. I mean, like when we're talking, I mean, and we're planning stuff, we're not having to tell each other the context that we've already discussed. And that's the biggest thing that it's trying to learn. It's like, okay, what are you discussing? What's the train of thought you're on right now? How can I then help with that?
Yeah.
And that includes new writing tools system-wide, proofread, spell check, rewrite, find tone. One of the things that was interesting is they said a lot of it's like positive things. So there's not really like assertive or forceful. I mean, business negotiations, you might need to have it be like a, hi, we want to do but it is definitely, it's definitely bringing a lot of things like I used to use Grammarly quite a lot. But this is bringing stuff that's there. I think one of the other things I'm excited for is they can prioritize notifications and be like, okay, what notifications do you truly need to see right now? And that way,
based on what you're doing, based on
And they even mentioned like, say there's a group chat that's like that's popping off, or say there's somebody who's texting you a lot, it can give you a summary. And some of them like they said like there was a summary of like Kayla had got to talk about this, and Rebecca and Kayla went back and like it'll do a summary of group chats, summary of chats. It'll do all that stuff.
I like that. Because I'm definitely so I actually have so we have a family chat in my family, which my aunt, who I absolutely love, she definitely posts every Wednesday. They will post food photos and walk details, and like, you know what, I don't need that because I'm not. It's not. I'm not interested. It's just I don't need a notification. So if it could summarize and say, your auntie went to the pub again, and they had this and this. Because that's literally what the texts are. Your uncle had, a burger. He thought it was okay. Give it a 5 out of 10. I had fish and chips. Gave it a 7 out of 10. That's literally the So summarizing those would be great. But the proofreading and the spell check, again, being able to understand your language. I mean, it's got to be better. It's got to be better than the stock stuff. And again, got to be better than Grammarly, which I can guarantee you that data's been used to train their models.
Exactly. And yeah. And again, Grammarly costs for a lot of the stuff. I one of the really good features, and again, this is available to across all apps that use the standard iOS stuff. I'm sorry, if an app doesn't is apps of the app, but yeah, a lot of features that can really help. Oh, Evan has said very excited.
Oh yeah,
for the writing tools.
Are they coming to the UK too? I know a lot of things are. Oh, so that's a good question. So yeah, Apple Intelligence is US English only.
Oh.
To start with. Now, I don't know what that means. Whether or not that means
It means things are going to be spelled wrong, surely.
Yeah, that's true.
And it means it won't understand. It won't understand Tinternet.
Tinternet. Jay, very few people who even listen to the show will understand Tinternet.
I know.
Exactly. As everyone says, colour. No, hang on. I want to try something. I want to see if this works. Hold on.
Colour, no colour.
Colour. No. Colour. Wrong. Yeah. Exactly. There's a U in colour, folks.
Yes. And no word should have Z in the middle of it.
What is Z? Exactly. What is Z? Every American. Was it that wonderful line from Stargate? I'm just trying out these new features. I wonder how these will come out in the recording. Yeah, Zed's dead, baby. No, so because there's a wonderful scene in Stargate Atlantis. We need the ZPM. But what? He means a ZPM. He's Canadian. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I always love whenever you say like it's the early noughties, and I'm just it always makes me smile.
Is that not a thing that's used then? Noughties?
No.
Oh no, because you say Z. No, because you don't use
because you say zero. So
what's that area of time called then?
The 2000s.
I think I actually prefer the 2000s.
Yeah, I do as well, I think.
Yeah.
I like the naughties because anyway. One of the next things it can do, and this is kind of an interesting new path. So a lot of AI models can create images. Well, Google can now create totally original images. It can create images of friends, of people in your contacts, photos, and you can create them in
Jay.
What?
Google? You said
When did you say Google?
You did.
When
Google can generate pictures.
Yeah, you said Google can generate
ADHD. Sometimes I will say a word from somewhere.
So sometimes you'll confuse one big tech company for another.
Yeah. So it can create images of friends it create images of friends, people in your contacts, photos, and it can create them in 3 different types of art styles: sketch, illustration, and animation. It's built into apps, and these are based off licensed works, is what they said. So the models here are based off of licensing. Now, it'll be interesting to see how it is compared to like Dolly and I try to remember all the different types of image.
Well, it's very different though, Jay, because it's defined parameters around what sort of style it's creating and what it can create. It's not a prompt to generate me a photo of a pineapple that's sat on top of a can of lilt, which I don't know if anyone outside the UK will get that reference. It's very much focused on, again, your content. So I actually would like, when this comes out, I want to try this for some stuff for our streams, like generative photos of us for maybe cover art and stuff like that.
They showed off an early illustration in Math Notes, because that in the Math Notes they showed illustrations. You can actually draw around something in an application and say, hey, draw me an illustration here or draw me a photo here. So you can now tell it.
Right. So you do a rough sketch and it.
Yeah. So, or even you just give it a prompt and it'll make something for you. So, I mean, think about it, like Keynote. We can start trying to get people off some of the old clip art from the 90s. In the old stock photos.
Those wonderful stick figures, right? With everyone used in like, how many times have you seen a Q&A session with that stick figure with a question above the head?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's going to be built into apps are going to be able to make it, but there's also going to be an image play. Is it image playground we're calling it?
Yes.
And that's going to allow you to generate stuff. So again, it's going to be really handy. I'll be interested to see it. I know a lot of people are concerned about it being a bit creepy and stuff. Let's wait and see what it's actually like. It's not. I don't think it's even beta yet, is it?
No, don't believe so. I'm not even sure if it's going to be coming to the UK, because I think the EU is worried about privacy for something. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, of course, we're not part of the EU, so let's see what actually happens.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Yeah, you know. So Evan is saying easier to generate an artistic cartoon-style image on device with a limited CPU and battery power. Photorealistic edge of what's possible images you can get from DALL-E. Oh, you can get to draw a ton of power. Won't see that on device for a while, but I wonder if Apple will deploy their private cloud compute for that in the future. That's a very good question, Evan. And yeah, actually, that would make, with all that power up in the cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. Look, this is only the start of what they're doing.
Well, I think they just want to be very careful that they don't get into deep fake territory. I think that's why they want to be very careful with some of the stuff they're doing.
Yes. And look, the fact that they're thinking about that is a good thing to me.
Yeah.
You don't. Deep fakes are dangerous. They are worrying, especially at this time, as this country is heading. By the time this episode comes out, because this episode will be out hopefully Monday, within a few days, we've got a general election here. So, and right now there is a heck of a lot of very concerning AI, not just AI content, but just content in general. Anyway.
One of the things that is cool with all this stuff is a feature called Genmoji.
Okay, yeah. So Genmoji, I'm gonna just ask a simple question: who's gonna use a Genmoji?
I will.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think I might. I mean, I can't look any worse than I do now in my Memoji, but Genmoji, sounds like such a great idea. Like, it's a nice step up from, be able to do it, based on, I'll make myself look a bit more, sophisticated, maybe restore the hairline a bit, But, I think we're going to be great. And then you'll be able to send those off. And now, what people found, by the way, is Genmoji will not show up on older versions of iOS, so both iOS 18 or above. That's already been discovered.
Cool.
But actions, right? So be able to ask Apple Intelligence to do something with a particular app. So I believe this is built on the Intents API. And the idea is, apps, developers are going to say, okay, you can do this. It's built on what's possible already with the shortcut stuff. And I think this is going to be brilliant to be able to say to Apple and to Siri, hey, order me a curry from Deliveroo from my favorite restauant. That's just sheer laziness, but there's probably better uses. Alex, I'm trying. Okay, here we go. Start the update process for my Unify Dream Wall in the Unify app.
That'd be pretty cool if it could do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Unify have even done any shortcut stuff in their apps, but you never know. It might do. Or, perform a speed test for me inside of Wi-Fi Man. Yeah. I'm plugging in a lot of Unify stuff here for no really good reason.
One of the uses I've been hearing about is, like, for instance, what time does my mom get in? And it pulls up the fact of, okay, from the email and the messages, your mom gets in at 5:45 at this airport. So that way you can also create a calendar invite and go right over there.
That's a really interesting thing about this. You make a good point there. Previously, that would rely on a calendar event that you'd have to put in manually, but it's looking through all of the data on your phone. Like, okay, your mum is this person. I know that. She messaged you to say, "Oh, we'll be getting in today at 9:45," and she'd forward you an email with her travel itinerary. So it puts all of that together to actually be helpful. I think that, for me, is going to be massively helpful. And if I had it, I'd be like, okay, what is the status of Jay's current flight? Well, it will know, because Jay shared flighty information with me. It will know that. It will be able to look up the flights, etc., etc. So I think this is good. Again, personal personal knowledge and personal awareness, rather than just LLM, right? I think that's really important. So, so just a few things to sort of on the technical side. So, from the architecture point of view, just things to be aware of. It does mean there could be some limitations, okay? So, it's obviously going to be on-device processing. We've talked about that as much as possible. It will require the A17 Pro or an M-series chip, which means any M-series Mac, any M series iPad, which is everything currently available, bar the the iPad Mini won't be able to do it, will it? I don't think the iPad Mini's
iPad Mini's got an A15, I think, or A16. A15.
Okay, A15. Base level iPad won't be able to do this at the moment, I don't think.
Nope.
But all the current iPad Airs and iPad Pros can, obviously Macs. But the only iPhone that will be able to do this is the iPhone 15 Pro. So I'm glad I've got one of those.
Yep.
That'd be helpful. And the language models, as I think Jay was saying, they adapt to your data on the fly. So it's called private cloud compute. Now, this is the server model. So they basically, and I love this, there's flexing and scaling the computational capability while protecting privacy. So, as we said, it's all running on Apple Silicon. So okay, request asks if a device should be okay. So the request when you make a request, it determines whether or not it can be done on device first, and if not, it sends just the data it needs to send to the LLM in the cloud and back, but it doesn't store that data. That's really good, right?
Yeah, it's good. I just can't comprehend how much process. I just can't get around how much processing is actually required that the phone can't do it. I just can't. I don't really understand that sort of stuff, but I guess it's obviously, yeah. I guess some stuff does require. Yeah,
it's scale, isn't it? It's when it starts to become too big because there's I think, as Evan mentioned, one of the limitations is not just the CPU that's in the phones. Because bear in mind, the CPUs in the phones, they are very, very powerful, but they are not full fat M series chips.
This is true. This is true. Yeah.
And then you've got the battery life consideration. Well, if you've got a server that's plugged into the mains and the grid, or solar, or whatever it's plugged into, then obviously that's got more computational budget. Oh, I like that term, computational budget. Oh, I do like that.
And for instance, we've seen this where the Apple Watch on older models has to go to the internet for like things like timers and alarms. Newer models of the Apple Watch can do that on device. So this is part of what Apple's been doing over time of trying to move a lot of things to on device and not require internet or other systems.
Sure.
I mean, there's so much really, really cool stuff in here. The architecture is impressive. Can I just encourage people, go and watch, but if you haven't yet watched the Apple event and you're still skeptical of what they're doing, I encourage you to watch the event to get an idea. As Alex mentioned, I think, Alex, it's fair to say, most of the headlines were Apple integrates GPT into iPhone. That was, I think, even BBC led with that story. Just blatantly missing half the facts.
Yep.
And that isn't fair. So go and watch it. The thing that Jay was talking about, Image Wand, is if you circle, so I know what Jay's talking about, and I just remembered. So you circle a sketch that you made with your pencil, like maybe a house or some dogs and cats. Circle it, and it will use the generative AI to build you a better image. So that's got to get you some brownie points in your homework, right? Alex, I wonder how it will work with those rough network diagrams that we all love to do as network people. Do you think it'll start putting actual Unify access points in, or will it have a preference? Will it put old airport extremes in or something like that?
Yeah, put airport stuck in.
Oh, do you know, I know it won't happen. Do you know that I know there's obviously a history. I'd love to see one day Apple return to the Wi-Fi game by buying Ubiquiti. I just can't see it happening. But
no, I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest.
Yeah. So, anything else? Magic Eraser? So, because obviously Google have been touting the Pixel phones with all these features, right? Be able to erase stuff. But that's all done in the cloud. This is probably all done, but is all done on device. That makes me feel more comfortable using it. But just be careful that you are not royalty and don't get caught photoshopping. I still don't understand that controversy. Why wouldn't you want to touch up photos?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. Obviously, if you're doing stuff if you're intentionally faking stuff, then it's going to be kind of obvious. But also, there is creative license, folks.
And one of the biggest things is app intents. They're really going to be working on the app intents API for this because they really want it to be where it's not just going to be Apple apps, but they want to make it where other developers can do it. And like what Evan said, just turn the HomePod into a mesh router. Do it, you cowards. RIP Airport.
I mean, those would be the cutest. Evan, that's a good point. But I could see that actually working really quite well. What do you think, Alex?
It could work, to be fair. Yeah.
Yeah. If you'd have Wi-Fi, how would you do Ethernet?
I mean, Eero's already done it.
Yeah, but you wouldn't put Ethernet.
I would like Ethernet on the HomePod, but they're not going to do it. So
no. But that's the problem, isn't it? You'd have to have Ethernet for it to be a router of any kind.
Yeah, I wish they would put Ethernet on just the HomePod, regardless. Just
yeah, because to solve because connectivity's. Oh, hold on. Probably don't want to have hang on. Electromagnetic things in one box. Oh no! Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, good point. Yeah, good point. Probably don't want to have two electromagnetic things in one box. Not literally a speaker plus AP. That's nuts. Yeah, good point there, Evan. That is actually a very good point. But wait, Ubiquity did it, didn't they? They had an access point that had a speaker in it.
Kind of. It was a speaker on it rather than in it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, they did the EDU AP, which they're probably not going to do again.
No, I haven't seen the new version of that. That was an AC device, wasn't it?
2016 up. So.
Wow, there you go. Okay. Oh, so there's other things that we should just to talk about. Things that I mean, look, I think there's so much to go through. One of the things that's really interesting is be able to record a call.
Yes, that's pretty cool.
And from a privacy standpoint, participants are notified that their call is being recorded. But it can transcribe and summarize phone calls, which can be really good if you're doing a sales call, right?
Yeah, because a lot of people would use their iPhones for work stuff, don't they? So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, if I had a phone call, with a supplier and I was trying to understand their pricing or, next steps, I think it's really good. Be able to record calls is good because it also means when when you get a scam call, you just hit the record call button, end of a scam call straight away because they're not going to want that recording. I mean, is there anything that we've missed, Alex, that you think is really important for us to talk about? Or because I think we've gone through Apple Intelligence. I think
that's pretty much it. But I will say before I watched the event, there was some rumors about this launching. I don't know if you remember, and I was trying to think what's it going to be, what they're going to do, and even as I was watching it, I was thinking, this is a bit much of a fuss for. I'm not saying it's not much, but there just seems to be. I don't know why they're branding. A lot of these features could have just been features. They didn't have to be labeled as AI features. I don't quite understand it because like the call recording, some of these improved spell checking and different things like that. A lot of those could have just been features, but I suppose they've packaged it as part of an extra thing, but yeah.
I think I know why. Jay, I think you want to make a point, but I'll start and say AI is a buzzword. It is popular. Apple still have to answer to the shareholders and make profits. And I think it's to drive the share price and drive...
Which surprises me because Apple's one of the biggest company in the world, yet still they need to... It's a weird how business works, but yeah.
But I mean, you got to remember that's not just Apple. You talk about big names like BAE Systems, British Aerospace Engineering. They have to answer to their shareholders. Unfortunately, when you are a publicly traded company, your stockholders, unless you're incredibly brave and just say no, you don't matter. But the whole reason you've got stocks is so you can have a share. That's why we've got the AGMs or stockholders meetings.
Yeah,
because stockholders can bring motions. If enough stockholders were not happy with Tim Cook, they could bring a motion to Apple to say get rid of Tim Cook.
Yeah,
so it is scary. But yeah.
One of the ones I wanted to mention was you can search for a moment in a photo or video. So you can find me the video.
Oh yeah,
that this happened. But yeah, I definitely think that they have to show the shareholders. Yeah, because I mean, otherwise they're going to look like they are stalling, because Siri's been out, I think I heard like 12 years or at least 10 years. I mean, it's been out for a long time now.
12 years now. Yeah.
And they have to show, what are we doing with stuff? Because Amazon's redoing their Amazon system soon because of all this stuff.
There's rumors that Amazon's going to start charging for the Alexa service.
Yes.
So now Apple Intelligence is going to be free, because guess what? Apple make their money on the hardware, the service. I remember services were paid for services, but the feature set they're not going to charge for. Now, ChatGPT will be free to access, again on consent. That's great. We're talking about doing more models. Now, there was a rumor, by the way, just a flight going around that, they were talking with Meta. Well, I'm very glad to say that Apple definitely did not want to work with Meta, but because of their privacy concerns. And that is why I like this model. Because they're not just saying, let's have any old AI model in here. Yeah. But ChatGPT, look, Duck, I can never say it quite right. DuckDuckGo are even using it, because it seems to me like OpenAI, for all their faults, right, and all their leadership issues, they at least make it possible to do anonymous requests.
Yeah.
So they're not necessarily the evildoers in AI. I mean, when you've got services like, data and warehousing and analytic services like Palantir, or what's the one that Jay was using with fake browser agents? Perplexity, faking its browser agents to get around people's requests for their data not to be scraped. I don't know how you can say, those are good models, but they're not. Look, I think let's move to wrap up on the whole thing. Alex, I mean, you said something just there. Not quite what we expected, right? And is there anything? I mean, is there anything from me that you wish Apple had done across any of the things that we announced? But I mean, there's things I can think of. But what about you? Is there anything you think that is like, I'm really gutted they didn't do more with this?
I don't tend to have much imagination when it comes to that, because I'm always quite surprised when things are announced from Apple, because I didn't think, or same with a lot of things, to be honest. Like, it's quite good. In terms of, I don't know if you want to do a different segment, but one of my most highlight features is the iPhone mirroring, because I am constantly leaving my phone in different places in the house, and I'm on the computer. I just want to use the iPhone notifications is a feature I've wanted on my Mac for ages. For so long I've wanted notification to be everywhere, and I'm really, really happy with that, which is really good. I haven't got anything of more of a want from it. Maybe I just want maybe more HomeKit stuff. Like, it'd be nice to have data from HomeKit apps put into a graph in HomeKit, the app itself. But apart from that, so no, all good.
No, fair. Jay, I'll just say more before I jump in. I'm with you, by the way. iPhone mirroring. There is one question I have, which is, if you're using continuity camera like I am now, will iPhone mirroring still work? Because that would be amazing if it did.
That's one to test.
Yeah, definitely one to test. Definitely want to test. Jay, what about you? Anything that massively either disappointed you, or anything that, again, I think, and Alex rightly points out, what for you is the standout moment of the WWDC?
I just think the fact that they are trying to bring a lot of the benefits of these machine learning large language model systems, but with a focus on privacy. And my biggest question when I'm watching all this stuff, how does it do in practice? Because we get a lot of theory, got a lot of concepts, a lot of clean demos, but I want to see what are the breaking points. What are the things that are going to break, or like we're going to find the areas, because we're not quite to the level of like Her, if you've seen the movie, or we're not quite to like the level of some of those other systems, but it's interesting to see we're getting there. And I just hope we don't get a half-baked system.
It does. I get exactly what you mean, Jay. I am going to say I don't think that's what we're getting. I think they've taken so much time to get this right. But there is a reason that they baked neural engines into all of their Apple Silicon chips and have been doing for so for a long time to get ready for this. There's a reason that they keep. I don't know if anyone knows, when they talk about new Apple Silicon chips, they always talk about the neural engine performance.
Yeah.
That cannot be a coincidence.
No, they have this stuff planned way in advance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, the thing that I think I would have liked to see more, now admittedly I'm not in a position where I've got an iPad new enough. I'd like to have seen more things on the iPad, like in terms of, I mean, a biggest wish of mine is to be able to have more parity with the audio functionality on iPad. I long for a day when Loopback can be an app on iPadOS. I know we've got the Pro apps, I get it, but Loopback by Rogue Amoeba. Am I right? Is it Rogue Amoeba? Yes. I was thinking of Jake, what was it company we did Wiretap? That was
Ambrosia Software.
Ambrosia Software, that's it. I just Loopback and Audio Hijack, just amazing apps.
As soon as you said that, I thought of rice pudding.
Well, Ambrosia, yes. Oh, and custard Ambrosia, Devon rice pudding. Oh, yes. I'm going to get Jay the real. Now you are
going to have to do that with a bit of strawberry jam. And
thank you. Yeah, that's me. Thanks, Alex. I'm already hungry. But for me, the standout is honestly, do you know what? I think I'm with Alex on most of his iPhone mirroring, but certainly I'm really interested in being able to try out AI without the fear of privacy. So actually, I'm really excited about what Apple Intelligence will bring. I think me and you, Alex, will get to play with it because we'll have depends if it comes to the UK.
We don't know, do we?
Well, but our phones will support it, and obviously all our Macs will. Let's see. First of all, can I say a huge thank you to Evan and to the other people in our Riverside chat. We did want to have this all on Twitch and everything, but there's teething problems. It is a brand new feature. It is really cool, and I've got to say, I am still blown away with Riverside. We are really so many great features. We loved Squadcast, we really did, and I still would consider. I respect everyone there. I just think, unfortunately, when they got acquired by Descript, Squadcast got put on the back burner, and it's really sad. But the point I was going to make is, you may have not been watching this live, but come and join our Discord. crosswires.net/Discord, or drop us an email, podcast@crosswires.net. We'd really love to hear your thoughts. You can also find us on all the decent social media platforms. I'd say, Jay, our primary sort of engagement is probably going to be Mastodon and Blue Sky.
Yeah,
for actually interacting with people, and obviously our Discord. Come and check them out. Alex, thank you so much for giving up so much of your evening to be here. Where can people find your amazing content, and not find you, but find your, well, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. So for automotive and technology news and reviews, theinterface.uk. I do car reviews on YouTube as well, some links on the website. And then me and Evan, who's in the chat as well, we do a Ubiquity focused podcast, which is extremely niche. That's once a month, and I do some other shows as well. So yeah, all sorts of good stuff online.
Awesome. And Jay, is there anything we want to promote? I mean, you are, of course. Oh, can we give a special shout out to Jay's puns? Because I'm not sure if they certainly did something to the show. But Jay, where can people find more of your puns?
You can find me here on Crosswires. You can find the streams at crosswires.net/live and in the Discord too. So also, if you follow me on any of the social medias, that I'm there, because I'm not on X, but you can find me on Mastodon and Blue Sky and all that, and you can see puns.
You can see a lot of puns.
And some innuendos too.
Will, yes. We will one day do a Crosswires meetup. It is on my radar. Unfortunately, I don't think we've got enough time for our next trip, because unfortunately, U.S. employment law means that, you know what, you don't get much holiday. It's really bad.
But hopefully after July 4th, immigration changes.
Well, do you know what? I need to read the manifesto from the party that I may well be voting for, which begins with an L. It certainly is not conservative. Well, look, we are not. Me and Jay, at least, I can't speak for Alex. Me and Jay are not conservatives. They've done so much harm to our immigration stuff. I don't care which way you vote, but please just get rid of the conservatives. Please, that's my plea. We're not a political podcast. Anyway, thank you both for being here. And I will roll on the recording. I'll roll the outro.
Hey Siri, can you stop the recording?
Thanks for listening to this episode of Crosswires. We hope you've enjoyed our discussion, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. So please drop us a note over to podcast@crosswires.net. Why not come and join our Discord community over at crosswires.net/Discord. We've got lots of text channels, we've even got voice channels, and we've got forum posts for every episode that we put out there. If you're a Mastodon, you can also follow us either by heading over to wires.social or just follow crossed@wires.social.
If you'd like to check out more of our content, head on over to crossedwires.net/YouTube for all our videos, and keep an eye on our Twitch channel at crossedwires.net/live for our upcoming streams.
If you like what you heard, please do drop a review in your podcast directory of choice. It really does help spread the word about the show.
And of course, if you can spare even the smallest amount of financial support, we'd be incredibly grateful. You can support us at ko-fi.com/crossedwires. That is ko-fi.com/crossedwires.
Until next time, thanks for listening.